You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/ARTS. Just go to Indeed.com/ARTS right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need. You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/ARTS. Just go to Indeed.com/ARTS right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is Sunday night, and it is time for a podcast. Yep, you thought you were getting out of it for 2025, and nope, you're not. So here we go. Tonight, I kind of want to talk about something that just popped up, and so it's kind of a jagged thought, but it's about mission. What is your mission? What are your parameters? Are you allowed to change the mission or the parameters? And that's what I want to talk about, because I've been hemming and hawing about new book, old book, what's next, what comes after this book, because you got to plan this stuff out if you're going to be good at it. And I do want to get good at it. I think that's the way of the future for me, and hopefully I can use my twisted bad wiring to help others. That's the goal. So this next book is going to be about grief. We've talked about that. But the mission's changed a little bit, and the parameters have changed a little bit. But before we get too far down that path, I want to take you down the winding road of my brain that I struggle with on a daily basis, but I won't make you go through the whole path. We don't have that kind of time, and you don't have that kind of patience, and you don't deserve that kind of punishment. First, I want to talk about navigating a little bit of guilt. We all have that. It's a daily occurrence for some of us, sometimes not so much for others, but it happens. So my guilt has been this walking thing. So I started off like a man on fire. I walked every night after work. If you heard the last podcast, yep, I'm going to walk every night. The last 2 nights, it's been blowing 20 out of the west and 20 degrees, and your wind chill's at 0. It's not fun. I'm not doing it. Now, wind speed, direction, relative temperature, and wind chill have no impact on my commitment to myself to get healthy again, get back in shape. So, instead of getting up at 5 for work and just kind of relaxing my way in, I practiced this weekend getting up at 5 and finding the stair climber, getting my ass on that thing, doing a few push-ups just to get the heart rate up, drink some water first. Good Lord, that's when you're most dehydrated, so drink some water, a little bit. Do a little bit of stair climbing, get the heart rate up, do some push-ups, maybe some sit-ups if I don't drink too much water. That's been the pattern the last 2 days. Have I failed myself on my nightly walks? Had I not done any activity? Yeah. Mission's the same. Parameters have changed. Now, if I get my walk in, am I going to get up at 5 and still hit that stair climber? I might. It just depends on how I feel. Right now, getting up at 5 is easy because I go to bed before 10. Been tired at night, so I think it's part of the darkness, the seasonal affective disorder, all that stuff that happens in the darkness of northern Michigan in the winter. So if I can do the walk and do the climbing and do the push-ups, maybe some sit-ups, maybe force myself to do more of all, it's not going to hurt me. The mission stays the same, but maybe we accelerate things by adding in different parameters, different technique, that type of thing. Which leads me to a book talk. Imagine that. I'm going to work in some book stuff here. So all my longtime followers, all my longtime friends and fans and whatever you want to call yourselves now, you know the story. The book started off, my first book, Thawing Man, started off as a blog. And it was mostly to work up the courage to admit what I'd done, confess to lie in the grandest scheme possible, the easiest, what I thought would be easiest for me. Didn't take everybody into consideration, which I wish I would have, but it was a way to get the message out, and it was very effective, and I could have stopped there. I would have been happy to stop there, I think. Nobody would have faulted me. I achieved the mission achieved, whatever you want to say, and we could have stopped and just continued trucking. Well, enough people had asked for that in a book, which I thought was so silly because it was free on the web. But people wanted that book in their hand. Okay, I've never written a book. I've just kind of given you some chapters on my thoughts, so we can plug it into a book real quick, and off we go with that, and we should be done. I had no idea what that first book was going to do and what it was going to lead to, how parameters changed on the fly, mission changed on the fly. It was really rough, so we decided to do a second edition, clean it up, still try to keep the core of it, but make it a little more mechanically easy to read, get out some of the dirty words. That should do it, right? Nope. The message that was being heard wasn't necessarily the one I started to try to share, so the message/mission changed. So we came out with a third edition, and that's it. I'm telling you, that's it. I'm done with that book. It's great how it is. I'm happy with it, proud of it, but it's going to stay that way. What we found out was it wasn't just a book about drinking. It wasn't a book about alcoholism. It was a book about recovery from all kinds of things. When we first put that bad boy together way back when, almost 7 years, which doesn't seem possible, the book consultant said if you sell 20 copies, including friends and family, consider that book a success. So you're self-published, nobody knows you, nobody cares about you except for your friends and family, so there'll be the obligatory purchases, and then you'll have to figure out what you want to do with your life. Well, I took that as a challenge. We sold 50 the first day, and it took off from there. So what I decided to do with the proceeds from that book, heavy on the proceeds, but was to give back to the community that had been so good in receiving me, saving me, and helping me live 2 lives in 1 lifetime. So we did that. Now, full disclosure, there were a couple of months right in the beginning when this book came out that things were very, very snug for me financially, very tight, and I used some of the money for rent, if you can believe it. So not all of the proceeds have gone, so if there's any of you naysayers, including stalkers, whatever, not every penny has been donated back yet. We're working on it. Last Christmas time, last December, after I had just moved to Alpena, I was talking to my agent and said I got my report from my CPA, and it showed that we had given out this X amount of dollars. She's like, oh my gosh, we need to talk about that. We need to share that. I'm like, I wasn't ready. There was a number I wanted to hit before we talked about it, because I wanted to keep it to myself kind of. But then I thought, why not share it? Why not share if you're doing something like that? It's okay to share. It's all right. Maybe by doing the share, you'll encourage other people to do the same. So, drum roll, please. And no, I don't have a sound effect for a drum roll. I won't make you go through that. But the book came out February 3rd of 2018, which, hard to believe, is 7 years ago almost damn close to 7 years exactly. At the end of last year, end of 24, we had donated just over $100,000 in books to people that need them, centers, anybody that asked for them got a free book if they needed it. And how I did that was use the money from the people that purchased the book, kept that in account, and bought the other books and shipped them out as we needed. or as were requested. So I feel pretty good about that. It sounds like I'm patting myself on the back, but yeah, I'm happy because if people think enough of that book to ask for copies and need copies, that says you're doing the right thing. So thank you. Number one, that wasn't just my money. It was my time, maybe some shipping but here and there, but that was all of you supporting me and letting me do that. So you guys are the ones that did it. So thank you for letting me do that. That's a really cool thing we all did together. I just, when I got the numbers for my taxes, I'm out shit my pants. I was just like, holy moly, we made it. The original mission was to help as many people as I could by sharing my story and hoping they avoid the downfall and the hurt that I caused and felt, and still I continue to feel because I didn't treat my illness quick enough. So mission parameters changed throughout the 7 years, a little bit, a lot of it. But the goal was to help people. I think we've done that together. Your suggestions have been noted and taken, and that's why we're doing this podcast now. Next book, what's that one going to be about? The parameters have changed. If you can imagine, maybe the mission has changed a little bit too. That's really the core of this podcast. Can your mission change? Yeah. Can you change it for the good? Sure. Can the parameters change? They will. So the whole point of this next book is grief. And it's about losing my father. One of the curses of this miswired brain is I am all in and I go way overboard. So I'm going to learn to be this grief coach or grief counselor. I'm going to get all this information, all this knowledge, and then I'll start to write this book and it'll be the next bestseller and it'll help everybody on the planet that's ever been sad. Sounds pretty easy, sounds pretty straightforward, shouldn't take much time at all. Good way to delay having to achieve the mission. Good way to say, hey, I can't write because I'm learning. Well, that's also a part of my miswired brain is procrastination. So what I have done, just to make sure I don't hurt anybody with this book or say something wrong or cause damage, is done some learning. I've bought a couple books and I've read those. And I've been kind of scratching, writing stuff down along the way. The idea is to still help people cautiously while writing with abandon. So that's what I've done. I've learned the big things about grief that I can without going into a 2-year degree. And I'm not going to say this is a book to solve your grieving problems because it won't. I already know that in advance because I'm writing it and I'm still grieving. So if I'm writing it and I'm not fixed, you sure as hell aren't going to be fixed, but hopefully it will help. I've got some very generous friends that have offered to meet and talk about grief, some professionals. My friend Marcy is going to meet with me and talk about stuff like this just to make sure I'm on the right path. And maybe it's just a bunch of stories about Dad and I. Maybe it'll go nowhere. I hope it goes somewhere because I know that the way Dad treated people and the impact that he left on folks, that's why the title is what it is. And that'll be released here pretty soon. I have the picture of the cover. I'm ready to start talking more about it because it's more real now, but the impact that he made and left is the impetus for this book. Am I going to cure grief? Nope. Am I going to hopefully help some people with some fun stories, maybe some hard stories? Because there's some hard ones in there, and this book is a bitch to write. My God, there's some hard parts. They're important to share so that other people know that they're not alone, and I think that's a big piece of grief. Things I've learned about grief just through reading over the last couple months is incredible, and some of the things that I've learned from professionals is spot on because I went through it. So has the mission changed a little bit? Yeah. Have the parameters changed a little bit? Yeah, that's okay. So the point of that whole parameter and mission and what is it that we're out to achieve, has it changed? Does it morph over time? It's okay. That walking every night after work, bullshit. Find another way around it. Get to your goal. Complete the mission, getting healthy is mine. You might have one too. So I want to share with folks that are struggling with this New Year's bullshit, the new year, new me. I love it. I love seeing that enthusiasm and, hey, we're going to go get it and kick ass. If you are, good for you, man. Share it. Share it out loud. Say to people, hey, I'm doing it. If you're not, I can help. Maybe lend a hand. Because when people see people that they like and respect succeeding, they want to do the same, and it kind of motivates us. So I need the motivation. That's why I'm getting up earlier to do these little stair climb things and push-up things and all that other stuff. I've seen friends of mine kicking ass, and I love it, and I want to be like them. So I'm glad they're sharing because it motivated me. I changed the parameters. Mission stays the same. The book, new book coming out, parameters have changed. Mission stayed the same. I want to connect with people and let them know they're not alone. There are plenty of PhDs out there that don't make connections, that write books that people don't read or do read and get nothing out of. So maybe my stories will help. Since I'm still writing, if you have a cool story about Dad, let me know. Share it. If you have a cool story in general you want to talk about, anything you want to talk about in that book, anything you want to talk about grief, you want to share or need some help with, let me know. Shoot me a message. All right, that's enough. Here's to a great week next week, and we'll talk to you again soon. Thanks for listening, everybody.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/ARTS. Just go to Indeed.com/ARTS right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.